Being in Spanish. Today I want to talk to you about that moment when you're learning a new language when you finally realize that it's different from English. That may seem obvious, but I keep saying in class that Spanish is not English in translation. And the fact that in the Spanish language there are three separate verbs with different uses for the verb to be is a very fundamental difference. Those verbs are ser, estar, and haber. So, as we do this lesson today, I want you to just keep in mind I'm learning a new code. I'm learning new symbols. Spanish is not just a translation word for word of English, rather, it's different philosophically, emotionally, grammatically. As you start to learn that, you'll start to feel yourself becoming a slightly different person in Spanish because the language that you speak has an effect on how you see the world. That's one of the reasons we're learning Spanish, not just to communicate information with other people, but to understand quite literally where they are coming from. So let's look at each of these verbs, how they're conjugated, and how we use them. Ser, estar, and haber. The first one we have to start with is ser, because ser is about those parts of being that are essential to you, that describe you, that are who you are, where you're from, what you do for a living or for joy, and what you are like. Let's conjugate it together. Remember that conjugation of a verb is the changing of the verb to go with the differing subjects. In other words, we have first person, second person, and third person singular, as well as first, second, and third person plural. In this class, I have been asking you to concentrate on first person singular and third person singular, since that is what most of your teacher-parent interactions will involve. We're leaving out second person plural because Latin American people do not use it. Okay, so let's get going. Repeat after me. Yo soy. Tú eres. Usted es. Él es. Ella es. Nosotros somos. Ustedes son. Ellos son. Ellas son. This is an irregular verb. You won't learn a lot from ser that will help you with other verbs, so the answer is, you just have to learn it. You're also getting used to subject pronouns. Yo, I, tú, you. The you would use with a child. Usted, you, formal. The you would use with a parent. Él, he, and ella, she. Nosotros, we. Also nosotras, if we are just women in the room. And ustedes, you guys. Ellos, and ellas, they. Repeat one more time. Soy, eres, es, somos, son. Remember, we don't need the subject pronouns to understand who is speaking. By the way, this abbreviation ud, sometimes written as VD in Spain, means usted. We're always looking for shortcuts. So when you see ud, don't say ud, say usted. That's the formal form of you that you will use with the parents and other adults you speak with who are not your friends. ¿Comprende usted? Now let's practice. You saw this in class. Let's go over it again. I'm giving you choices. Look at the picture and decide what the answer is. We're also using question words or excuse me, otherwise known as interrogatory pronouns. ¿Quién, de dónde, qué, and cómo? Who, from where, what, and how. Let's try. ¿Quién es? ¿Quién es? Es Bugs Bunny. ¿De dónde es? ¿De dónde es él? Él es de Toontown. ¿Qué es? ¿Qué es Mickey? Mickey es un doctor. Mickey es un doctor. ¿Cómo es? ¿Cómo es? Es bonita. Or some of you in class said fea. But anyway, she thinks she's bonita, pretty, not fea, ugly. Okay? Great. Who is it? Where is he from? What is he? How is she? Notice that from que es and como es, there's no gender there. This is a female duck, that's a male mouse, and yet we're still using es. So please have in mind that while pronouns have gender, and in fact all nouns have gender, verbs do not. Verbs only have number. Now let's look at the verb estar, which also means to be. But different from ser, which is about who I am, what my name is, where I'm from, and what I do, and also how I am, smart, not smart, pretty, not pretty. Estar is about transitory qualities and location. Transitory also involves emotions and feelings. Where are you? In space. Where are you? At school or at home? How do you feel? Happy? Tired? What are you doing? Now, this last what are you doing involves the gerund. In other words, I am talking. I am teaching. We're not going to work with that too much in this class, but I think it's worthwhile to show you, in terms of estar, that estar is about being in motion. That is what's going on right now. Let's conjugate estar, first with the pronouns and then without. Repita, por favor. Yo estoy. Tú estás. Usted está. Él está. Ella está. Nosotros estamos. Nosotras estamos. Ustedes están. Ellos están. Ellas están. So now you're a pronoun expert and you know that yo is I, tú is you, for friends and little kids. Usted is you, for formal interactions or people you don't know. Él is he, ella, she. Nosotros and nosotras, we. Ustedes, you all. Ellos, they, and ellas, they. So you know that now. And you're noticing in estar that there is a root on the verb, est, est, that is consistent throughout the conjugation. The terminations, or endings, indicate who is speaking. So let's leave off the pronouns this time and just try to hear what person it is. Estoy, estás, está, estamos, están. I am, you are, she is, he is, we are, they are. Notice that in English, you are, he is, she is sounds different. So this is one of those moments you need to focus that usted, él, and ella are all third person. It's different. Now let's practice again, looking at Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote to see what's going on and to see where they are and how they're doing. Try to answer the question. ¿Dónde estoy? Asks Roadrunner. Where am I? ¿Dónde estoy? Where am I? El desierto, the desert. La casa, the house. La escuela, the school. ¿Dónde estoy? Now you might use usted with Roadrunner. After all, you don't know him. Can you say, you are in the desert? You are in the desert? That's right. Usted está en el desierto. Repita. Usted está en el desierto. Muy bien. Next question. ¿Cómo estoy? Well, obviously not very good. ¿Cómo estoy? Contento, happy, triste, sad, desesperado, desperate. ¿Cómo estoy? Can you say you are desperate? Usted está desesperado. Usted está desesperado. Very good. Now let's take a quick look at what a gerund looks like. You're going to see this en, yendo, sometimes ando, depending on what type of verb we're working with. We haven't done that yet, so that's not going to be too clear. But just try hearing the ing when you hear yendo or ando. That's happening, that's going on right now. What am I doing? ¿Qué estoy haciendo? Corriendo, running. Cayendo, falling. Cantando, singing. ¿Qué estoy haciendo? What am I doing? That's right, cayendo. Can you say you are falling? Usted está cayendo. You are falling. Usted está cayendo. And Wiley says, adios. Let's look at our final verb to be. Remember, ser was about essence, who I am, where I'm from, what I do, and how I am. Estar was about feelings and locations and what I am doing. How do I feel? Where am I? And what am I doing? Now, this last one is an impersonal verb that does not conjugate. Haber sounds like this. I. And you'll notice I don't have yo, tú, usted, and all of that because this verb is impersonal, literally meaning nobody does it. What does that mean? It means that it's about general existence. There is or there are. Now, this is another of those moments that you have to get used to the idea that in English, you express this idea with two words. There is. There are. In Spanish, we just say I. And I've put this little I on the screen, like the I in your head, to remind you how it's pronounced. I. I. Good. Now, let's take some examples. We looked at these in class. There are. There is. I've put different things here. 4 of them are plural. 1 of them is singular. So we ask, how many are there? ¿Cuántos hay? Remember your numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. So first let's ask, ¿cuántos hay? Then, ¿qué hay? What is there? And ¿dónde hay? Where are there? Woof, woof, perritos. ¿Cuántos perritos hay? How many puppies are there? Hay 3 perritos. Repita. ¿Qué hay? What is there? What are there? Hay perritos. There are puppies. ¿Dónde hay perritos? Where are there puppies? Hay perritos, and whatever you want to say. En mi casa, at home, en el parque, in the park. Good. Now I'm going to ask you, what is there in the second picture? ¿Qué hay? What would you say? Hay patos y gatos. Hay patos y gatos. ¿Cuántos patos hay? How many ducklings are there? That's right. Hay dos patos. ¿Cuántos gatos hay? How many cats are there? That's right. Hay un gato. Hay un gato. Hay dos patos. ¿Dónde hay gatos? ¿Dónde hay patos? Hay patos y gatos en el. And remember, in class, I'm saying put in English if you don't know the word. You might say, hay patos, hay gatos en the bench. Now let's put in the Spanish word, el banco. El banco. Hay patos y gatos en el banco. Muy bien. Elefante. ¿Qué hay? Hay un elefante. ¿Cuántos elefantes hay? Hay un elefante. ¿Dónde hay elefantes? Hay elefantes en Africa. And I keep using this word en, which means in or on. En. Hay elefantes en África. Now I'll ask you, ¿qué hay? Use this word. That's right, hay niñas. ¿Cuántas niñas hay? Hay dos niñas. ¿Dónde hay niñas? Hay niñas en la escuela. There are little girls in school. Good. And now this last one. Pajaritos. Baby birds. ¿Qué hay? Hay pajaritos. ¿Cuántos hay? Hay 5, 5, pajaritos. Hay 5 pajaritos. ¿Dónde hay pajaritos? Can you say a whole sentence even if you don't know the word you want? Maybe you'll say, hay pajaritos in the forest, el bosque. Or, hay pajaritos in a nest, en un nido, nido, a nest. Good. Perritos. Hay 3 perritos. Patos y gatos. Hay 2 patos. Hay un gato. Elefante. Hay un elefante. Niñas. Hay 2 niñas. Son bonitas. Están abrazándose. There are 2 girls. They're pretty. They're hugging. Hay 5 pajaritos. Están en un nido. Son hambrientos. Hay 5 pajaritos. There are 5 little birds. Están en un nido. They are in a nest. Están hambrientos. They are hungry. So think, in your classroom, ¿hay un amigo? Is there a friend? ¿Cómo es? How is that friend? Like, what are her characteristics? ¿Cómo está? How is she feeling? ¿De dónde es? Where is she from? ¿Qué está haciendo? What is she doing right now? Think about that. And perhaps in class, we'll ask each other these questions. How are you? How are you doing? Where are you from? What are you doing? Being in Spanish. Ser, estar, and haber. This is a basic building block of the Spanish language. Thanks for joining me.